Are you thinking about to sell your home in 2022, but you've been wondering, is the market still going to be good for you? And when is the best time to list? Are you a buyer, been bidding on all the homes, but not getting anything and wondering, is there going to be more listing coming in the new year? In today's video, we're going to recap what's going on in this year, 2021, and what to expect in 2022. Coming up. Hey, this is Regina Chen, the real estate agent right here in Irvine, California. We're right now in the last week of 2021. It's a perfect timing to review and recap what's going on, what happened in this year. And then I would love to share with you what's the experts forecast going on into the 2020, what you can expect in the real estate market. We're going to focus on the Orange County, California market. And then I'm going to talk about what does that mean for a home seller and for buyer. What does that mean to you with all the information, how you can prepare for your real estate game going to the new year. There are a couple stats, couple matrix I want to share with you. So we're going to start with the inventory. We'll talk about the demand and the expected market time, just to show you how fast, how smooth, how fast, how short the home lasts on the market before they go under contract. So the first chart I want to share with you is the active listing in Orange County year over year. So you can see the orange line is 2018, followed by the purple one as 2019, green one to 2020, and the most recent one is the one at the bottom, 2021. So at the beginning of the year, we have active listing around 2,500 homes. As you can see, even in this chart, that's the lowest in the past 4 years. If we're looking back, the data provided by reports on housing, they start tracking all the numbers since 2004. The beginning of the year inventory is the lowest since 2004. Just to give you an idea, I'm sure you hear about all the media news talking about not enough home, inventory really tight, but how tight it is. Well, the beginning of the year, 2,500 in OC, that's the lowest since 2004. If we look at the green and the purple or orange line here, typically we see the inventory will start to pick up after January, and you see that in this May and June, sometimes peak up around July and August. But that is not the case for this year. You see the red line, even since like January is kind of dwindled down to 1,000 home, which is the latest data for this year. Just to put things into a broader perspective, right now we're looking at the 4 years charts. If we look at the 5 years average end of December, well, the 5 years average is around 4,400 homes. So it's right up there. Compared to today, where we at, that was like 3 times higher than where we at today. So we're definitely in a worse, like tightest, the minimum inventory we ever seen since the data being tracked. So this supply problem that everyone is talking about is due to a very high buyer demand, and again, fueled by the historical low mortgage rate, and we're matched with the inventory problem that's actually we already experienced even before the COVID time. So we see the green line here, 2020, the pandemic year. Even before that, see the previous 2 years, you can see that the inventory continued to drop lower. So even without the pandemic, we already kind of have the prelude of the shortage of housing inventory. Well, this inventory crisis is so bad that has limited the number of closed sales in Orange County. And there's plenty of excess demand from buyers unable to buy a home. Next, we're gonna talk about demand. Here, just a reminder, red line is the 2021, the latest graph here, latest line here. Demand for Orange County homes follow a pretty normal housing pattern, meaning that it's the strongest in the spring market, followed by summer, and then the autumn market. And then we're getting into the more quiet holiday market. And the definition for the demand, how we measure the demand here, the demand is measured by the most recent escrow activity in the previous month. But this is actually not a reflection of the true demand because those are actually get into the escrow. The true demand is actually higher than what we saw here. The reason being that it's actually the buyer managed to get under contract. There are a lot of more buyer. They've been writing offer but cannot get anything. But we know they've been watching every latest new listing and they tour every new homes. So a supplement to see what the true demand is, there are two indicators. One is we're watching the showing time to see the showing activity, the showing level. And other things could give a taste of how high the buyer demand is what we've been seeing in the market in terms of the volume of multiple offers. So out of the 4 years pattern, I'm sure the green lines stand out to you. That's the only ones not following the pattern we talk about spring, summer, autumn, and then to a more quiet holiday market. That's last year when we had the pandemic. You see like a steep dip there. That's when we have a lockdown around starting March time and coming back out starting May. And after the lockdown period, the spring market was delayed by 4 months and remained elevated for the remaining of year. And the next set of number we'll be looking at is the expected market time. That means how much time it takes for a home to sell. And that number dropped significantly to a super low level in 2021. Okay, this is a busier chart, so let's take our time to go through that. So here are again still those 4 years data from 2018 to 2021, but let's look at the legend just to explain how the definition works. So the expected market time is how long it takes for a home to sell. What are the cutoff? When do we know it's the seller's market? When is the balanced market? When is buyer's market? Let's start from here. So for the days on expected market time is below 60 days, 2 months. That's a very hot seller's market. Somewhere between 6 and 90, that's considered slight sales market. So let's have the first cut. Anything below 90 days, it's considered seller's market. So if we can find a line, the 90 will around here. So even for the past 4 years, it's been a very strong seller's market for the most part. And anything between 90 days to 120 days, that's here. That's considered a balanced market. Anything longer than 120 days, that's 4 months, that will be a buyer's market. I just want to lay that down out the definition out there, so put things into perspective. So I hear a lot of buyers, my clients, they're thinking that I understand we've been bidding, rushing to all the listing, and we're losing all the offers. So people get really discouraged and thinking that, you know what, I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna wait till the market cool down, become more normal. But looking at this data, even before pandemic time, since 2018, Orange County has been in a very strong, very hot seller's market for quite some time. And overlaid with the fact in terms of the inventory, we just thought that for December, like the end of this year, we have at a historical low level, only 1,000 homes compared to previous years, like 3 times or 4 times higher inventory level. We know that going to the new year, the beginning, January of 2021, we're at a historical low inventory. It's gonna take some time, or it'll ever happen for us to skew back to a buyer's market. I just want to put it out there to let the data, let the statistic to do the talking, so we have a more realistic expectation. All right, so let's take a deeper look. So here for January this year, we start off with 42 days expected market time. That's a very, by definition, it's a hot seller's market. Like I talked about, anything below less than 60 days is considered a hot seller's market. And the hottest level is actually, it's the hottest since the data being tracked like since 18 years ago. And it continued to drop around 30 days in February and reach another record low at the end of November to 20 days here. And like I mentioned, with very limited inventory and a very strong demand, overlaid with a historical low mortgage. It makes the market time has been extremely fast. So the quick recap is that the inventory is super low at historical low, and the demand remains very strong. Even those numbers, because the demand is defined or measured by the pending sales, all the sales transaction in escrow, but the real demand actually is higher than that because there are a lot of buyers. We know that just from the market observation, how many people look at the showing activity is super high, and the multiple offer that shows that a lot of buyers want to buy but cannot secure a home. So the actually buyer demand is higher than what we saw. So low inventory, high buyer demand, and super short expected market time. So we saw that even at the December, normally is the holiday market, we don't see things slow down. That's a prelude. It's an indication that going to 2022, at least at the beginning of the year, the market is going to continue to be super hot. So next, we're going to transition into what's the expert's opinion in terms of 2022 forecast. So the theme for 2022 will be the same as 2021. There won't be enough home for all the buyers to purchase. Instead, all the homes will, like for the most part, they'll all be in escrow. And the forecast is that the inventory gonna start in January, will slowly creeping up, and the forecast is to peak in around August time at around 5,000 homes. Even with 5,000, that's still like way lower below the 700 homes level, which is the pre-COVID average level. With anemic inventory and historical low mortgage, the buyer demand will be extremely strong from the start of this year, and the demand will be at its strongest. And the most appreciation will happen between January through July. And then they'll start to downshift during the autumn and holiday market. Next, housing cycle. We expect the market will still follow the normal housing cycle, meaning that strongest spring market, pre-bar to summer market, peak around there and start to downshift to autumn market, then toward the lowest holiday. So the mortgage rate is expected to continue remain at historical low until the pandemic improves dramatically. Even with the Federal Reserve reversing their mortgage-backed security purchases, and also they're raising the federal fund rate, which is the short-term rate, and the heightened inflation, the long-term mortgage rate is expected to be around 2.75 to 3.5%. I know coming from the lowest at 2.625 feels like, oh, the mortgage increased. But when we look at the broader horizon, even at 3.5, it's still very low in the sense of a historic. Interest rate is expected to remain historical low, even though with the Federal reverse interest rate, the forecast is for the interest rate to remain at a historical low level until the pandemic improved dramatically. Even with the Federal Reserve reversing their mortgage-backed security purchases, and also they're raising the federal fund rates, which is the short-term rates, and also with the heightened inflation, the long-term mortgage rate will continue to kind of bounce between 2.75 to 3.5%. So the bottom line is 2022 will continue where 2021 left off, which is a super hot seller's market. For the multiple offers and a bidding war will most likely to continue, especially for the home price below $2 million. So for sellers, if you're thinking about selling your home, you definitely want to put it on the market sooner than later. If you recall what we're talking about at the beginning of year, January, the market will be super hot, inventory super tight. So by putting your home on the market sooner, you will have less competition and you will have much more control and negotiating powers. And for buyers, just be aware that 2022 will continue to be the similar patterns. But don't feel discouraged. This is what you're not looking forward to hear, but it's good to know what's the expert forecast and the reality going to be. So 2022, for the most part, between January and July, we are going to see more listing, more homes to tour or to bid on. But at the same time, our competition remain very fierce. But the thing is that there's no point to wait. Don't think that, okay, then I will wait till August, start looking for a home. Yes, so that time you might have less competition, but based on what we see, there's still going to be multiple offers, still going to be bidding war. Yes, but your number of the competitor may be less, but bear in mind, the housing, home price expect to continue to grow. So don't wait till August. When it hits August, you still have competition, maybe less competitor, but don't forget the price point, the price base will be higher. So there's definitely a cost for waiting. So that's on the home price part. And also another factor is the mortgage rate. So we're expecting at most at the end of the year, it'll be unlikely to go over to 3.5%. But my message for buyers is that let's talk. In today's market, you have to be ready to go, button up with all your pre-approval letter. You know how much specific community you want to look at so you can act fast and you don't waste any time when you see the right home on the market. And we need to be on top of our game. It's more than just the number. There are a lot of things I want to share with you, what we've been doing to help buyer to win, help our offer to stand out and get us up. This is Regina Chen. I'm the local real estate agent in Irvine, California. I would love to sit down with you to hear about your real estate goal and dreams, and let's strategize a plan to achieve your goal in 2022. Happy New Year.